Man, 2025.
Yeah, we made it, man. We got here.
We did it. 2025 officially in the works. It's race week as we're recording this for the first national stop of the year. Well, we have to wait for a while for the Pro Series to kick back up and kind of the pro level of racing, but that gives us some time to kind of talk about everything that happened last year if we want to, but then all the team changes and sponsor changes that are coming through social and everything, and like, I think it's 4 or 5 amateur nationals that are going on uninterrupted to kind of give us a good look at who's going to be dominant throughout the year. And especially 15, 16, 17, 20 on both men and women they're mixing up a lot with some of those birthdays and people jumping into that 17-20 class and people going pro and all that fun stuff.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm really glad you're keeping tabs on that because I don't even know how old the kids are that I've been working with for years. So somebody has to keep on it. But yeah, it's pretty cool to have a different layout this year where they're going to start with a number of the amateur racing going in the pro series starting a little bit later. And we'll get to actually focus on the amateurs without getting distracted by any of the pro stuff right away. Because the last few years we've had almost said this year, it's a new year. Last January, we had Florida kicking it off with a whole bunch of new debuts and stuff like that in the Pro Series. So this is going to be a really cool one to see who's going to be stepping it up in the amateur classes. And also it gives like a little bit of a game to see like who's not showing up that might be turning pro and trying to keep it under wraps, but we can start keeping tabs on things.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and I think, obviously some pros are like, dude, why aren't we racing until March? Well, they just had 3 gnarly years of Olympic qualification. All the UCI races had to get done before a certain date for World Championships and the Olympics, obviously. So they've been going nonstop that, let's give them an actual off season for once and jump into the Pro Series in March. But I also love the flip side of that of like, yeah, if you want to race, come race. Like we got obviously the Pro-Am stuff is at every single national event. So if you're in like it's the A-Pro days of like Pro Open, just show up and race. If you have 4 dudes, if you have 7 dudes, like who cares? Just come get a nice little check. That
was always fun for me because I was like not really in it at that point when it became Pro Open, and then you just be like, oh man, what are you doing here? Okay, fine, take our money.
Right. That's how all the kids feel when Jeff Upshaw shows up. Like he'll come to every
Jeff was one of them.
Yeah, right. But like it's funny before
Nick.
I think it was before Derby, he showed up to Great Salt Lake, I think was the time frame. And it was just like, oh, okay, you're just getting your race legs ready. Well, I'm 15 years old trying to get like an extra $50 to try to get some like it was just funny, like, okay, the 30-year-old's gonna come in and swamp us all like sick. Like,
That's funny you say that though, because I was talking to I forget who I was talking to at Grand's, but they were talking about some pro-am that now I can't remember, but Sean Day was there, and they're like, "Oh, Sean's gonna win everything," and then Uppy beat him, and the guy was like, "Damn, this Upshot guy, all right." Like not that he didn't know Jeff, but he was like, "Damn, Jeff, that was good." Awesome.
Right.
Yeah, I told Jeff that story, and he was like, hell yeah, I remember that race. That was a good one.
Yeah, right.
He was stoked on that story too.
Yeah, that's always a fun one. And we got a lot of them. But like you were saying with, there might be some people not going to the nationals and they're trying to keep their pro debut under wraps. Like, I almost think why wouldn't so for example, Ethan just joined the Huffy squad with Nick, joining Carly on the Huffy crew. But he's been at that point, like he could, right? What? I didn't know that. Dang.
It's one of the few that I have seen.
But like, if you're Ethan, if he is or isn't going pro, but like, say that he is, okay, I got 5 amateur nationals to still like be race ready. 17-20 it's not the same competitive level as men pro, obviously, but it's still competitive. Like, get the race adrenaline flowing, get more comfortable, more track time, and then jump into the pro class at that season opener.
Yeah, I think that's what I would do if I were in somebody's shoes like Ethan, because there's such a mental edge of being ready when you go to race. And if you're going to be making that jump already into pro and you have 4 or 5 months off, like that's going to be really tough to just have your head in the right space. It's going to be hard to make that jump anyway. It's not easy, but to not have that much track time with people, spending time in the corners and stuff like that, like just being comfortable right there, like, yeah, it doesn't make your life easier. So that is absolutely what I would do if I was in their shoes, just to have that track time and that race experience and stay sharp.
Definitely. Well, and let's talk about the first couple nationals before we get into some of those team changes and different things that are going on in the racing world. But obviously we have SoCal this weekend, then straight to Florida for the Sunshine State Nationals at Okehele. We had a Pro Series stop in 22, I believe, to kick off the Pro Series. It's the first time we've been back there since, and I love that track's beautiful spot to be at too, right next to the little canal that they have right next to it, and easy access. They're easy enough access. So I remember good things about that. Unfortunately, it was where Felicia broke her hip, went down pretty hard right after the Olympic Games in that next season. And so that's really all I remember from that race, except that, it's Florida. There's going to be heavy hitters. It's pretty much the middle of their state season already. So the Florida racers are already primed and ready to be racing again.
I wasn't at that Okehele race. Actually, I've never been to that track, but I used to have a huge group of the locals that would come every summer to the BMX race program at Woodward when I was out there running it. And those guys were super fun. They were always super excited to learn and try just riding, and loved being together with their friends. So like, I'm sure it'll be great vibes and great atmosphere there. Like, the locals are awesome. And like you say, it's Florida, right in the middle of all their stuff. Like, they're going to be all ready to go. The weather's always, it's Florida, so sometimes you never know when it's going to rain, but it's usually pretty good because it's Florida. So yeah, it should be a good one. And like, going back to back with SoCal to Florida, like, there's going to be so much good racing. I was out at one of the like bike parks over the weekend, and there was a couple of the SoCal locals out there, and everybody's like jumping, like, "Oh, I got to get ready for next weekend," and like, got to get the legs moving.
Yeah, it's always a hit or miss, especially like, I grew up in the Midwest. Like, Sooners was always our like kickoff to the next season. And it was always like okay, are my legs even going to work again? Like, we can do as many like rollers in our garage as we want, but like, do I remember how to like manual or pedal manual? And I'm just going to get tossed into this indoor soft track, like, brutal. I wish if I could go back and just like plot myself in a different spot, California, Florida, even like Texas, down in like Houston, one of those spots. Minnesota is a great example because they have Rum River season all season long. Like, that'd be huge.
Yeah.
I would love them.
Yeah, I was, like, again, just a few days ago at the jump park, I was talking to somebody about it, and I was like, man, have no idea how lucky I was growing up in Northern California when I did, because we had so many like factory riders, nag riders, everybody, and like, we just all pushed each other, and we're just became so good that like, I wasn't even training, and I'd be like, oh, what the hell, I didn't make the main at the national, and I'd be like, and I'd think back about it, I'm like, what? That's amazing. Like, we were just like, we all just fed off of each other so much, and we had such a good atmosphere growing up that like, we were super super fortunate. And it's been a bummer to see how like it's kind of shifted away from California, because I've spent so much time growing up and racing here, and like, even when I moved to SoCal, I watched everybody start moving to Florida, and then I was kind of like the only one. There's like Peebles, me, Elise and Lauren are the only ones who have like pro licenses in California still, and mine's questionable at best. So
Yeah, and it's weird. I mean, I talked about it at least to people that ask, like, why don't we go to California more, or like, why are moto counts down if we go to California? It's Californians travel well. Not a lot of people travel into California. Like the majority of I think SoCal is an outlier because it's that people have enjoyed the last 2 times we've gone to. So last year we had a decent crowd. I think this weekend we're gonna have a decent crowd. I hope at least. But like a lot of the people
Chula
that
was
go
always
to,
big too.
yeah, exactly. But it's California people, and it makes sense, but it also doesn't. I mean, California is expensive on the one side. On the other side, like that's the home of BMX. The best competition is going to be there, so I can see both sides. It's a weird kind of dichotomy of good word. Shout out.
Hey.
It's a weird like subsection of, okay, do I go to California or do I wait for the Midwest, or I go to Florida where I know it's going to be sunny and I can also see palm trees? Like it's, I don't know, that shift, like you were just saying, has become weird, or I guess studyable in the BMX community.
Yeah, and it's something I think about a lot because like I used to be able to like Saturdays at Bellflower used to be an insane pro practice.
Yeah.
And now you get Afro Bob teaching a clinic. And that's the only pro you know. Or nobody even knows who he is anymore. I'd say sorry, Bob, but I know he's not going to watch this. So
I'll make sure to tell him it's SoCal. Point you out. Like,
right.
that guy said it.
Sure. Yeah, he will be at that one. Yeah, whatever. But like, hey, man, like he's a legend. But like, I mean, I watched this happen when I was running the program at Woodward. Kids were like, "Who's Sam?" And I was like, "Oh man, I got to teach you kids some things."
Right.
But like, there's just a drop off. Anyway, but like there's in the shift of everybody moving out of California, like, and I'd say like the pros and like the competition that like was within tracks that would drive those like pockets of really good riders coming out of areas. Like as that shifted, I feel like you can also see that in like some of the qualities of tracks. Like Florida started blowing up with all the new technical builds and stuff like that, Supercross hills and like all the slurry coat and stuff like that, where it can survive and last really well. California, there's not much of that, and like it's starting to become a thing now. I think Roseville finally did it up in Northern California. I think Bellflower did it too, actually. I don't know. I don't even have a race bike right now, so I haven't been out much. But like it's been a slow process, and like Tyler's been doing it down there, but like the tracks didn't evolve as quickly as everybody left. And I think that could have helped keep the people there, but also just cost of living. I get it. Like, I mean, BMX is expensive anyway, which could also be part of why Californians travel well, because like for Californians to go to Phoenix, you're like, oh, easy. That's way cheaper over there than it is for Phoenix people to come to SoCal. So, I mean, I don't know, money. Everything's expensive now, man. I'm living in a van right now.
Right. Yeah, and I think so Gmo put together the NAG and national plates for each state. So I mean, you still saw a big grouping in obviously the hotbeds, California, Florida, Texas. You're gonna see those majority of those plates go into those states. One, to I think what you just said of like cost of living is higher, so you can travel to a different spot to, it's not as much of a financial burden as going somewhere else. So, but I mean, California very much so is a powerhouse in the sport. Florida has been on the uptick. The Northeast, I think, is just a rider's rider, hotspot where they might not have the number of national plates, but I bet if you look back to the amount of main makers throughout the national season, there's going to be those numbers in that Northeast region. Because they're like okay, we'll ride the track, but we'll go to the trails, we'll go to the park. Like Evan Mendito is a perfect example of that, and his entire crew. Like they're gonna ride.
Yeah,
No matter what they are.
they have the skill. Those guys develop how to be a proper bike rider. They're not the kind of person who's going to be like, "Oh, I've got like a really good first straight," and then just get wide and keep you behind me. It's like they've got all of the bike control and all the skills because they ride like Posh and Caddy. Like those are pretty legendary trail spots out there in Pennsylvania. Like that's in like that Northeast trail, just grungy BMXer vibe is such a thing. And those guys ride everything. And I feel like that was a thing in like the Midwest too. Like when I was coming up, we had people like LaShawn and Sean Lechner.
Yeah,
Didn't see him at Grands this year, but like people who just like would just ride whatever they could and whatever they had because they were just loving riding, which I think is something that I feel like is changing a little bit. Like people become just racers now, whereas like it used to be a little bit more well-rounded of just like I just like being on my bike. I'll pedal across town just to go like ride a curb that's fun over there.
yeah.
I don't know. I'm going off on a tangent.
No, I mean it's true. I think well, especially the people that especially I see most often are racers because I'm on the national series and those are the
Yeah.
national riders that are goal oriented towards that specific task. But then you get mainly when you go to the Northeast, you get those fast riders that are also great on the bike because it's in their area, they're not traveling too far, but they're just at their local throughout the week, just being that fast, being that smooth, not traveling, all the way across the country to do that. Where I think some other people are, and it shows in the results, but being cool is a factor too. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, and like I remember there was times where you'd just be like, "Oh man, like this is the one race this guy showed up to.
Right.
Dang it! All right."
Yeah.
And you'd get one of those guys who's just like crazy talented, but didn't show up to much, and you're like, "Oh, we're gonna screw up points for everybody this weekend."
Right. All right, man. Well, we got some team changes, some sponsor changes going on. Past couple of weeks have been kind of filled with some sponsor changes. So let's start off with the one that you alluded to our last episode. Stay Strong, picking up Carmona.
Yeah. That was I mentioned in the last episode that the Monday after Grands I did a photo shoot with them, and he was there for that, and I got to shoot in. Like, he was just so excited. I have some shots of him going through the rhythm, just smile filling the helmet. He's just so stoked. And just like he's one of those guys who just loves being on his bike and is just like, I can't believe I'm riding my bike again. Like stoked all the time. And it was like he made it super fun. The whole team got along really well. There's a lot of people I didn't really know very well. But yeah, the guys behind the team, Marco and Gunnar, got to meet them, and super cool team. Didn't really know them much because they're from the UK, but Carmona is a good pickup for them. I think that they've built a cool team over there, and it's gonna be going pretty good.
Yeah, definitely. I'm excited to see. It's not a Olympic qualifying year. It's kind of that middle year of where we see the majority of our international travelers come in. So 2025 should have a big international field across the Pro Series stops. So excited to see more of the Stay Strong crew. There's a couple different pockets of different teams that travel together really well. Obviously, the Colombians, the Netherlands crew. I hope GB, the Great British team, comes over for at least a couple. But yeah,
it'd be cool to see them.
Yeah, definitely. Well, we already talked about it a little bit. Nick and Ethan Popovich are going to Huffy. Nick is taking on that brand manager, brand leader role for race and freestyle for Huffy. So I think that's a great fit. I thought he did really well with the Haro race side, and Nick and Haro have been synonymous for forever, but I'm excited to see what Nick and Epop and Carly can do for that Huffy crew over there. So
yeah, it's funny. I hadn't really thought about it much, about like how Nick had been Haro for so long, but because it just was always a thing. And it's really cool to see him, because of the whole Haro situation, see him going to another like classic legacy brand, and it's awesome that they're doing it. Like I talked to uh, one of the people that they had come down to one of the events, and was like, "And you guys make some like Huffy makes so much money that like you're losing money making a BMX race bike, like you, but like that's so rad that you guys are like so like in the sport that you're like, nah, it's cool, like whatever, we're gonna do this because we want to, like this is what we want to be doing." And maybe it's just like a massive marketing thing for them to just get more people on bikes in general, but like I'm stoked on it. And like I've talked to Carly a bit about it, and she's really excited with like the freedom and like the atmosphere that they're allowing her to create with it. And she had some input on picking them up, and I think it's going to be a really cool team. It's going to be more of one of those teams that isn't like, it's more like we don't care about results. We care about like being fun and enjoying riding your bike and doing these things and like being somebody you want to like get in the gate with, you know?
Right.
And like, yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how that program develops. I fired off an email yesterday to follow up with them for some content too. So hopefully that works out.
Right.
Cause like I like all of them anyway. And like, I've been friends with Nick for a long time. I grew up racing with him. So it's always fun to work with your friends. So
Yeah.
trying to make that one happen too.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And I think, I mean, Carly did, well, I guess Huffy's been around for 100 years. Like their market
Actually,
is, I think so. I think it was like Huffman Enterprises has been around for 100 years. So like the
no way.
manufacturing of Huffy. Yeah, yeah.
That's rad.
So like and you look at their catalog, they do so many different things that doing a BMX specific frame, race and freestyle, like heck yeah. And you have, you know, three of the most marketable people in the entire industry on the race side, but then you have Nick Bruce on the freestyle side and Huck, the Little Ripper, on the freestyle side. Like it makes sense from a like, yeah, why would they not have those people and those you know, those faces to represent Huffy, you know, even if they're not selling, you know, the random 16-inch that they're making or the big green machine or whatever it is.
I don't know, man. I've been building bikes this in the off season, and those things are moving. A lot of those bikes.
Well, hopefully they can
I
be
built like
attached
15
to
of them
those
today.
names.
Yeah, that was super side note, but that was I heard that was a super genius move that Caroline Buchanan did, was made her signature bike the push bike in their lineup. So she got a cut of each push bike that sold, knowing that they would sell more of those than anything else because they're selling it to everybody, not somebody in the industry.
Yeah. Oh, smart.
Yeah, right. That was.
Nice.
I think Tommy told me that one or something like that, but that was like whoa, that's a genius move. So, you know, kids, if you're listening, take note when you get a signature product. I don't know, figure out something that's going to sell the most somehow.
Right. Right. Well, actually, on the same DK, yeah, on the same DK vein, former DK athlete Spencer Cole.
Yeah.
Spencer Cole and Anderson Souza joining a Speedco JNR kind of offshoot, not the Speedco Avian team that Derek Betcher is doing, not the JNR amateur team. So Speedco JNR, kind of a new look for those two. Souza has been on a part of that family.
Yeah.
But he's back and coming back, making a run. And then Spencer, obviously on Supercross, jumped over to Speedco and JNR. I believe Spencer is actually taking over their media and content for social too. So
that would make sense. Yeah. I mean, he was doing a lot of stuff, and like the Supercross athletes kind of have that built into their program too. So makes sense. I didn't realize that there was like another vein of the Speedco JNR world that they were doing. I was just like, oh, cool, look, new branding. And then But I don't know, man. Like I get the jerseys figured out by like mid-season, and then I roll into grands and everybody changes it. So I'm just like trying to figure it out. I don't
Yeah,
know.
it'll be fine. That's why we have
Yeah,
numbers, right?
yeah, totally. Dude, that's why I really liked when we had like the different pro plates and stuff. Like we had like different colors. I don't know. Like yeah, just
But
make everybody run a national number, and then we won't have any issues.
right. And I was talking to Spencer at the second Rock Hill National, so that Gator Nationals that got switched, and he's stoked on it. I mean,
Yeah.
he's going. The thing that excited him the most, it seemed, was the customization of the jerseys. So he can run any color of jersey that he wants because he's not going to be close to a team sheet. So he can just play around with some design aspects. And I think he's working in the shop at JNR, doing that content, trying to bring that up and lift that up for their brand, but then also just his brand himself too, because he has his own YouTube channel. I think he's going to jump back into that a little bit more consistently. So that'll be fun. I'm excited for that one.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna choose my words here. I like seeing that Spencer has a little bit of freedom, and I think he can have a lot of fun with it, and I'm curious to see where he goes with this new angle to take on more media for the brand, and also be able to focus on himself in a different way, which I guess is probably pretty similar to what he was kind of doing for Supercross. But I think there was a little bit more like necessary demand, and I could be completely wrong in this, but with the Supercross stuff, it sounded like he was kind of just like, all right, got to keep doing this, got to keep going. But I don't know. I don't know, man. I don't look at contracts. Why am I so off today, man? I am talking into every corner.
That's all right. It's Monday after the holidays. I woke up at 11 because my internal clock was just screwed.
Today?
Yeah, today. And I rushed to get over, started to work a little bit. I'm like, I was off. I over caffeinated way too high.
Oh yeah, that's what I need. I woke up at 4:45, so that makes more sense now. And I didn't sleep well.
Shocker.
Yeah, cars going by, van rocking, and I'm like, that's not even the fun way to make it happen.
You're going right over that. The next team change we got is actually a fun one. I'm excited about this one. JC Moore getting picked up by Chase, but this is a little caveat. I don't know if it's Chase Factory joining Isaac Joris. I don't know if it's that or if it's just a frame pickup. That one I meant to reach out to JC. I did not do that, but if they did pick up JC for the factory team, I mean that's a big step for Chase.
Yeah,
and
definitely
their continued dominance in the men pro class has kind of just put me into okay, they're just gonna be chasing after that. They're focusing on that until maybe Elise retires, there's a new top dog, then they'll pick up that new top dog. I like that they might be taking a chance on JC going into her second sophomore season. Smart, because this season is going to be so small hill dominant, which is JC's preferred type of track, and it suits her a little better than the big hill tracks. I'm excited. I think that's going to be a fun fit, even if she's not on the factory team. She's been running a Chase for forever, I believe. So
yeah, I'm really excited for it. I saw that one, was like, ooh, okay, let's see where this goes. So yeah, I'm excited to see where that goes. Like what the context of it, whether it is kind of just like a pickup, like hook you up, kind of give you the frame ride, or if it's like the full deal and they're just like dropping in, because they don't pick people up much. Like they have a pretty slim roster, and there's only been a few people that they pick up as they're coming up, and then they they let them go before, or they see that it's not working. So they're pretty good at. I mean, Christoph and Pete have been around the sport forever, So
Right.
they know what they're looking for. Yeah, that'll be real interesting to see how that plays out.
Yeah, and
Excited
the
for that.
only so that you said, they're pretty picky with, or I guess pretty reserved with who they pick up. The only person
Yeah.
that I can think of apart from Connor and Joris, at least in the early days of Chase, was Romaine. Romaine was on Chase for a little bit. Um,
Yeah. They had uh was it Garoyan, or there's one of the younger French dudes that they picked up, and then he ended up going somewhere else
right.
like a couple
Yeah,
years
and
ago.
they still have their French offshoot Chase team. Like
Oh,
there
yeah.
are some other sub, or I guess it might be a team that's sponsored by Chase. I just see the Chase logo, there might
Oh
be
yeah,
a
the insight chase, the ones with
yes,
the cool helmet things.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah. Always so jealous of those helmets. Like,
Yeah, I don't know
come
what
on,
it is about that, like that helmet look that I'm just like, man, I'd like to look at that.
right, right.
I don't get it. Yeah. Then we don't even
Um,
know what team it is.
yeah, it's fine.
I got plenty of
um,
pictures of it. It's on my website.
right before,
Charlotte writes for them. I know that.
yeah, right. Actually, I'm going to toss in an amateur one. Honestly, it surprised me when I saw it. I was not ready for this at all. Eliza Newton, former world champion, off of Send It, LSG Send It, onto Impact, which is,
Ooh,
I think, a great pickup for Makiva and the Impact crew. Like,
yeah,
I love both squads, but like Eliza's a big get for any national team or any factory or bike shop team. I think Impact won with that one.
yeah. That's a good move. Good pickup, and it could have been uh they balanced it out, knowing that they were losing JC potentially. So
Right.
that could be them trying to balance out their women's side of the roster, or the girls' side of the roster. Not that that's a direct fill in, but just keep things even and keep the eyes on the ladies' side.
Yeah, no, I'm excited for Eliza. She will be in SoCal this weekend, so we'll see her new colors.
Yeah.
But then another big one that kind of kicked everyone into like, oh crap, Peyton getting dropped by Mongoose. Some budgets got done, and Peyton Ridenauer's off Mongoose. From obviously she's a Tulsa local, so her and I and Kate have been talking a little bit of like, man, that's a tough time of year to get dropped. Budgets are
Yeah,
done, rides
super
are,
late
are
too.
yeah. So
They
from what
they
I
really
hear, from what I hear, and I'm gonna ask Peyton if it's okay for us to talk about this, but if it's in, she's okay with it. I think she's gonna do her own thing in 25, just kind of scrounge together some different sponsors, or bid the lead sponsor on her jerseys for 25. But I'm excited to see what frame she's going to be riding. I have some thoughts in my mind what it could be, but I don't want to step on her toes on any official announcement or anything. But yeah, man, that's a bummer to see. And that's probably one of the just cost of doing business things of, hey, we got a parent company that is making us do some budget cuts, and that's tough.
yeah, yeah, but it's not like I don't know what Peyton's composite or compensation package was, and what the whole thing was, but like it's not like they were just like, oh no, out of left field. Like everybody in the industry is struggling, and I think it's not a very cool move to wait that long to drop that on her, because everybody's already done the scramble and everybody's already grabbed what's available. So like they really kind of left her high and dry on that one by doing it so late. And I don't know the ins and outs of it. Like you say, like maybe it was just like the parent company coming in super late. Which either way, it's a bummer to see somebody get just left out like that. Because if like when Haro cut Cam and Ricardo, like they had some time to go look for a new ride for the next year, which that's the right thing to do in my opinion. But I understand that that's not necessarily how business works. But also, they're a big enough business that they can forecast a little bit further out than, oh crap, it's Tuesday, we got to cut people on Wednesday. Like that's a bummer. And she'll find a ride. Like somebody'll jump on that because she's not losing. So like she'll get something. But it's a bummer to have to see somebody like her of her caliber scramble at such a late time. Though she does have a little bit of time going into the season now that we've got the later start. So that
Right.
could definitely work to her advantage.
Yeah, and thankfully it's not that Olympic year. It's not the Olympic qualification year, so international travel isn't as important. I know she'll probably still want to hit some of those World Cups, which will be tough with no full factory ride. So yeah, and it's one of those things like I love both parties too. Like Peyton's fucking Peyton's sick. I don't know.
We swore on the previous episode.
At this point, I don't give a shit.
The one after Grands that didn't record was wild.
Yeah. Thank God that never recorded. But like Peyton's sick. The Mongoose crew is sick. Like Lee, Kevin, the Mays family or the Hayes family, Kim Wood, the whole crew is awesome. So it sucks to see two good parties split like that when there is, I'm sure, a little bit of like, what the hell, man, between Peyton or to Mongoose. But
yeah,
but I'm best to both. I honestly, like, Mongoose had a hell of a year, Peyton had a hell of a year, and I think 25 will be another one for him. So
yeah, that's nothing to add there.
yeah.
I was actually thinking though to that though, like I have no idea what the geometry on a Mongoose is. Like I don't know what bike would ride similar.
Right.
So I don't that I guess tease you up to potentially give you the spoilers. So never mind. Don't go down that route.
Yeah, right.
Sorry.
Honestly, like there's only a certain number of frame companies out there, so like, yeah, I don't know. I got two last ones. Ty Henry going to Claiborne. I love Claiborne having a men pro. Like it's just it feels right. It feels right.
We got Jordo.
They do have Jordo. They had James Palmer, and that like men pro side has been missing for a while. So, and Ty's no mystery to that family. That Answer S Squared Claiborne crew is pretty tight. So yeah, it's cool to still see him in that family, but it's, in my eyes, it's really cool to see him in that Claiborne kit on the Claiborne ride. So.
Yeah, I've always liked the Claiborne kits and everything that they have going over there. I always wished it grew a little bit more. And they have had bigger teams in the past, but it's kind of been pretty selective in the last few years. And when I saw Ty's post about leaving S Squared, I was like, ooh, that's a long time. Dang, what's he going to do? And then it just like little switcheroo, like, Claiborne, it's still in the family. And I was like,
Who's going to the other 20x20, like around the corner?
Dang it. Yeah. Just enter the pit from a different side.
Right. All right, final one. I don't see the big hubbub, at least from the BMX racing side. GT stopping production.
Oh,
I get it sucks for Kai. He's been on GT for a while. GT did have mid 2010s had that GT team with Weston Merlot, Sofia Foresta, like that crew. But like their piece of the BMX pie has been pretty small, if anything, the last couple of years. Like I don't, from the BMX racing side, I get mountain bike is completely different, but I don't see a change, to be honest.
Yeah, like the biggest bummer of the whole thing is that Kai has to go figure it out after having a couple really, really good years. But I'm not at all surprised when I heard the news. I was like, oh yeah, okay, whatever. Like GT was like when in the last couple of years when the industry's really been struggling and everybody was having all their orders from COVID finally catching up. GT was one of the first ones. They were doing like basically like buy one get one free bikes. Like they were cutting prices crazy. So I was like, oh man, they're not doing good. So like hopefully they're gonna get through this, but I didn't hear that they were doing great. But also like, when was the last time they had a new frame? Like,
Right.
and Romaine rode for the Sarion's team, and they were running the GT frames, and so I've talked to Romaine about it when he switched back to riding a Rift, and he's like, dude, yeah, like it's just the geometry doesn't match what we're doing anymore.
Right.
That being said, Kai makes it work, and Ollie Moran's running one too, and he's doing really good. So it works for some people, I guess. But I don't think they've had money. I don't think they've really had skin in the game for the last 5-6 years, much longer than that, probably.
Yeah.
So
and I saw
I'm not surprised.
Yeah, and on Pole and USA BMX on our social, just our feed was for a good couple of days was like a lot of different takes about the GT leaving, and it was mainly from the mountain bike side, which I get. It was the bigger market for them, but like I was like,
I was doing the same thing.
Yeah, and I had like 100 words of a story written out. I'm like, it doesn't matter. It wasn't, in my eyes, it wasn't a big enough like giant company leaving. They were already gone in our world.
Yeah, they've been gone for a long time. It's like Redline would be another one. Like if Redline was like, oh no, and like I like Redline. I've worked with them in the last few years, and I've got a good relationship with the people over there. But like the brand hasn't been the same in BMX racing for a very long time. And there's been some blips where they're trying to like maybe work it out, but if Redline was that, it would be the same sort of thing. We're like, oh man, bummer. But like Mongoose has made a comeback. Huffy's making a comeback, but like some of those older legacy brands that I think a lot of us, like probably our age and older especially, are like really trying to hold on to these things that we kind of need to let go because they're not even the same companies anymore. Like Powerlight's still got a factory team, but it's not the Powerlight from like the 90s and 2000s. Like it's a completely
it's not the
different
orange and
company.
yellow Powerlight. It's
exactly. It's not Chevy Tracker sponsored Powerlight. Just like GT wasn't the same, and like it's like all these brands have evolved so much that as much as we want them to be something that they're not, like we just have to take them for what they are now. And it doesn't surprise me that they're moving in different directions. Like I've got a buddy that I do mountain bike content with for Haro. And so I'm like tagging in with him, like, hey, are you safe, man? He's like, yeah, dude, I got a new bike. They're designing more stuff, but saw that they're not doing anything for BMX. Sorry. It's just like the companies, they've got to pivot to survive, which that's how it works. And unfortunately, BMX isn't growing at a pace that's sustaining a bigger business focusing on it, unless you're Huffy.
Right. Yeah, when you're in 22,000 or 200,000 stores across the United States, yeah, you can survive. But yeah, and I think on that same kind of vein of the sports shifted so much in the past, at least past decade even, is with the introduction of the big hill, and that geometry and that marketing especially is going in a different direction that I think legacy brands that weren't around during that shift and they're trying to jump back in, it's a complete restart to people that are just coming into the sport. Because if there's a brand new 6-year-old that grew up in or started in 2019 even, now it's okay, who the heck is GT as a BMX brand? Like they know the Supercross, Tangent, Speedco, Chase, like they know those brands because they've been in it. So history lessons aren't fun for new riders every once in a while or all the time. So it's tough.
Well, yeah. I mean, there's like, it's cliche to say this, but like there's that like old school guy who shows up on like a hutch or something and you're like, oh, cool, right on. But like that guy's like, nah, man, they don't build them like they used to. And you're like, yeah, because we have like technology that evolved. Like we do things differently. But like that like stereotypical guy that's like stuck in an era is like, I feel like what all right, well, those legacy brands are getting stuck and like not bringing in like people. I don't think there's enough people just in the design and the like manufacturing and stuff to have that input to revamp these companies and bring them back. And I don't think the companies really want to, because they want to hang their hat on something that they used to be, and they want to just hold on to that as much as they can because that's their view of what their marketing is. But they're not anymore.
Yeah, and that's a credit to Huffy, like coming back in with Carly and letting her into that design process for the new Huffy frames, and getting her input, but then also giving like a, hey, we have resources, whatever you want to create, or like whatever you think would be beneficial into your space, we're down with. Like, that's the coolest part of it, I think. But
yeah, the marketability is like, there's so much upside for the team that they're building over there on both sides, on the freestyle and on the racing side. And like I've probably mentioned it in previous episodes. I tell this to so many of the kids that are coming up. Like, there's only one person that gets to stand on top of the box. Right. And most of the time, people don't remember who got second or third or whatever. But if you do something cool, or if you're fun and like people like you, people remember you. And that goes so much further than being the guy who won that day, or right, the guy who got second that day, especially because people remember winners, and then, or somebody who's cool or fun or whatever, or the pro who came and like signed an autograph or stopped and said hi or remembered you from the clinic. And that's the kind of people that they're focusing on, and the atmosphere they're cultivating over there.
Definitely. Damn, man, it's going to be, I'm sure there's team changes and different sponsorship shifts that we missed, but I mean, those are the big ones that we're seeing inside the industry and into this new season. And man,
there's a couple that I know of that I don't know if they've been made public yet, and I don't know if I can mention them. So I'm like, there's so many that I'm like, I don't know. Like, I want to grab my phone, but it's my hotspot right now, so I can do this.
There's a reason there's a reason I made a list, so I didn't spoil anything.
Yeah, that's a good call. There's a couple times where I'm like, well, what? Oh.
Right.
Can't say that one. All right.
Speaking of, so the new magazines, the issue 6 of 2024 came in the other day, and it reminded me. Did you happen to swing by the Chase pit at Grand's? Did you see their prototype?
No.
It's cool.
The Chase pit is always such like a little hidden dungeon that unless I'm like shooting somebody there, that I just kind of like pass over.
So it wasn't.
I run into Pete at some point, so
yeah, it wasn't in the athlete area, but like in their display, they had a new prototype, super sleek looking, like gunmetal with a silver chase. Like,
I don't look at stuff anymore, man.
Come on, like there's some different pieces in there, like integrated seat clamp into the design and the profile of it, the headset or the stem and headset. Sorry, no, the headset in the top tube is in the frame and it swivels with it. Like you'll have to look at it. It's going to be digitally here soon.
Like it swivels as you steer?
Yes, like back offset towards the rider. There's like almost a chip like of the frame that is inlaid in it, and it swivels like that. I don't know any technical like what it provides or what it does for the strength or durability or whatever, but it looked cool and it caught my eye. So
it's not like the mountain bike stuff where you can offset your head angle by flipping the.
I got no clue. I didn't even think to ask Peter or anyone. I was just like, I saw it passing by and like, oh,
I can't believe that didn't come up.
Yeah.
Like, I can't believe I didn't hear anybody talking about that.
A guy posted on social a reel of a couple of videos or pictures that he he got of it, and I stole those for the magazine. So sorry, guy, whoever you are, that I stole. But
Maxime.
like, dude, it looks yeah, right. It looks so good, and like, I'm just interested to hear like what it does for the frame or the rider or whatever it is.
You better hope it's not Nico's content.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't. It was
He's gonna send you an invoice, man.
Sure, that came over. I think like
Oh, okay.
it was just some random dude's page, but yeah, man. I'll see you on
cool.
Thursday, though, huh?
Oh, yeah. Thursday probably. I don't know what I'm doing. I still haven't sorted out whether I work for you guys this year or not. I still have an invoice tangent from Grains. Like, I don't know what's going on. I have no reason to actually be at this race, but I'm finally lived in California almost my entire life, and I finally got to be in town for one of the SoCal Nationals. So I'm here. But also I have a buddy in town, so he's going to be in San Diego, so I'll be smashing down to San Diego for the evenings and hanging out there. Or not, I don't know. Maybe Supercross is happening too, A1 on Saturday night.
Yeah.
So we got a group chat going with the Tangent team, and we were joking about how we're like, oh man, it's going to be a big race. We're going to get out of there super late. We're not going to be able to make it to Supercross. We'll have to go somewhere and like watch it or something. And somebody was like, nah, the USA BMX people want to get out of there too. So weird. Inclement weather. We're going to just race to the first turn, guys. We're running real quick.
Well, I mean, Supercross, is it like 6, 7? Like at least the pre-show and like yeah, I don't know either. But like, no, we're going to get out of there with plenty of time to get down there. However, I am doing a photo shoot with the amateur national ones because they're all going to be there. So Landon Murray, Danny Waters, Wyatt Christensen, Sadie Herrera, all going to be there doing a photo shoot, probably at Venice or Rodeo Drive, which will be sick.
Do you need me to be your like drive around chauffeur because I know this place?
You don't have to be. I think I'm stealing Gmo's minivan, so I should be fine. If we get done early enough and it's not, we'll be able to get back by A1. I also haven't decided if I'm just
we won't. There's no way we're making that.
But if we
I might
just bring the national ones to A1. Just be like, hey, here you go. Congratulations.
That's kind of that's a good content move too.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you just
swipe the card.
Yeah, right. Thanks, PA. No. Yeah, no, that probably will be the plan of like swing by a photo spot, take some photos, and then go to A1 with the kids. So yeah.
Yeah. I haven't been there in a while. I don't know if it's how viable it is anymore, but there's Sunken City, which wouldn't be as much of an ordeal to get to.
Right.
You wouldn't have to go all the way up, but Venice and all that is way more stereotypical.
Yeah. But then, the race is on a golf course with a great backdrop of that's a good option too. And then we'd swing by there and take some photos outside of Anaheim Stadium.
Then
there's so many
big A in the background. We'll be fine.
We'll be good.
And, well, you know what? I'll drive the minivan. You sit in the back seat, and we'll just stay on the highway there. Just as you pass it on the 55, we can just shoot out the window of the minivan and get them all in front of it, and then we don't even have to stop.
Exactly.
I'll just bring my green backdrop, and we'll just Photoshop it all for them.
It's fine.
Save us 9 hours in traffic.
All right, man. I'll see you this weekend.
Yeah, man. Travel safe. Have a good one.
Yeah. Get ready. 2025. About to start.